to enable electricity generators to become local electricity suppliers and for connected purposes. As the UK emerges from the lockdown, as we look out across a very different landscape, there is a need to rebuild local communities and local economies for the benefit of local people and local businesses, and in doing so, to meet head-on the challenge of climate change. To do this successfully, we need power. Electricity in a low-carbon form, to light up and to heat our homes and workplaces, and to run our transport networks and our vehicles. In recent years, the UK has made great strides in decarbonising our energy system, but we still have a very long way to go, and the way that we regulate the supply of electricity means that we are in effect operating with one arm tied behind our backs. We currently have a system that prevents local generators from becoming local suppliers. This very short bill would help remove that barrier. I would like to thank Power for People, who have carried out most of the background research, campaigning and preparatory work ahead of this bill. Today, Madam Deputy Speaker, we face two great challenges. One immediate, the seismic economic shock created by the COVID-19 pandemic, and the other looming large, the devastating impact of climate change. This bill addresses both these challenges. As a nation, we have made significant progress in meeting the targets under the Climate Change Act. But the Committee on Climate Change are clear. Ambitious new policy and regulation is needed if we are to continue to meet these targets in the future. At present, renewable electricity generation accounts for only 11% of all UK energy use, and our transport and heating networks need to be electrified in order to decarbonise our economy. To ensure that the dramatic rise in electricity demand that this will create is met by renewable generation, we must put the right policy and regulatory frameworks in place. There is tremendous potential for a significant proportion of this renewable energy generation to come from new community projects right across the country, whether they be solar, hydro on rivers or in estuaries, batteries in former factories, or wind in the uplands. Such schemes can bring many benefits to many local economies, opportunities that are desperately needed given the devastating economic impact of the COVID-19 pandemic. A government report published in 2014 found that the community energy sector could deliver at least 3,000 megawatts of generating capacity. Yet at present, it is only producing a tenth of that. It equates to less than 0.5% of our total generating capacity. There is a great opportunity for renewable energy to be the lead player in the economic recovery, but it is being blocked by the current energy market and licensing rules that lead to huge costs and burdensome bureaucracy being imposed on new supply entrants. This effectively means that some great and highly innovative schemes never see the light of day. A report by the Institute of Public Policy Research shows that the financial, technical and operational challenges involved in setting up a licensed energy supply company mean that the initial costs could exceed £1 million. This is a bit like someone setting up a microbrewery, planning to deliver their beers to local pubs, off licences and homes, and then being told that they have to pay £1 million in road tax for their delivery van. To solve the problem, Madam Deputy Speaker, the costs and complexity of being a licensed electricity supplier must be proportionate to the supply of the supply operation. If they are, it then becomes financially viable for renewable generators to supply electricity, and suppliers will spring up all over the country. This is what happens in Germany, where there are 1,000 such supply companies compared to 60 in the UK. Most of them are local suppliers, which are community-owned and supply renewable energy. Germany's Big Four only control 40% of the market. We need to empower local community groups and businesses to sell locally generated clean energy directly to local people and local companies. This bill does this by establishing a right to local supply. This would give the energy market regulator, Ofgem, the duty to establish new market rules that would ensure that the set-up and running costs of selling locally generated energy directly to local consumers are proportionate to the scale of the supply business. The bill is a first attempt at laying out a mechanism that will fix the UK's local supply problem. It is accepted that there is scope for improvement and refinement, and new ideas are welcome as to how this can be done. Clause 1 states the purpose of the bill: to enable the local supply of electricity. Clause 2 states that it is generators of electricity that can become local suppliers. This is intended to achieve the aim of smaller scale renewable generators being able to supply electricity to a local area. There is a case for amending this clause to allow any organisation to become a local licensed supplier. The logic for this is that currently licensed suppliers do not also need to be generators. Clause 3 goes to the heart of the bill and gives Ofgem the task of setting up the local supplier licence process. It also requires that this process ensures that local suppliers face set-up costs and complexity proportionate to the scale of their operations. The exact details of that process are not laid out in the bill, as it's believed that Ofgem should carry out this task. Part 1 of Clause 3 requires Ofgem to set up the local supply licence mechanism to ensure that the costs and complexity of becoming a local supplier are proportionate to the size of the operation. Part 3 allows for the local supply operation to be based on a radius area, though this could arguably be improved if amended to be a defined area. The result of the bill would be that building new community-scale renewable generation infrastructure and selling the electricity direct to local people via a locally licensed energy supply company would become financially viable. The benefits would be significant. These new local energy businesses creating local jobs and being paid by local customers would keep significant additional value within their local economies, thereby making them stronger. There would also be the knock-on benefit of greater public support for the transition to sustainable energy. There would be improved air quality. The nation's energy supply would be more secure, less dependent on imports. Being able to sell to local customers would reduce the need for renewable subsidies. Renewable generators would be receiving significantly more than their current 4p per kilowatt hour and would be paid by their customers and not the state. Madam Deputy Speaker, it may sound as if I am painting a picture of utopia, but this is nothing new. It's been done before. Local amenities across the UK, such as parks, swimming pool, baths and libraries, are built from the revenues of the municipal energy companies of the 19th and early 20th centuries. In this respect, we do need to turn back the clock. 151 MPs from right across this chamber have declared their support for the bill, from all parties. This is an advance on the 116 members who did so when a presentation bill was submitted in the last session. Powerful people who are coordinating the public campaign for the bill have also mobilised a grassroots movement and have brought together a broad coalition of support, including from 50 national NGOs and 43 local councils. Madam Deputy Speaker, in conclusion, what the bill would do is that it would enable local people to come up with local solutions to meet the challenge of climate change. In doing so, they would be creating sustainable jobs and would be making their own local economies more resilient. I'm very much aware that very often bills such as this do not advance very far in this and in the other place. But let's work together to turn the compelling objectives of this bill into reality. It is now time to deliver power for people.
Thank you. The question is that the honourable member have leave to bring in the bill. As many as that opinion say aye. Aye. Of the contrary, no. The ayes have it. The ayes have it. Who will prepare and bring in the bill?
Sir Graham Brady, Rosie Duffield, Vera Hobhouse, Dame Diana Johnson, David Johnston, Ben Lake, Caroline Lucas, John McNally, John Penrose, Selene Saxby, Mr. Barry Shearman, and myself.
Peter Aldous.
Local electricity bill.
Second reading what day?
Tomorrow.
Tomorrow. Thank you. We now come to motion number 2 on Senior Courts of England and Wales, and I call the Minister to move the motion. Chris Philp.